Hi, now we're live. Hi, welcome to the Gracie Gato podcast. I'm Gracie Gato, and today we have Karishma Manzoor. She's running for Senate, the Senate seat in New Hampshire. So please, welcome, welcome, welcome. Did you bring your
Thank
coffee? Did you bring your coffee?
Yes. Thank you, Gracie. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, yes, yes. It's great to have a candidate so we can talk to see, how we can all fit into this crazy scheme of life. So tell me, what is on your playlist right now? Like, what do you go running? Do you run? Or tell us a little bit about
Running,
your
my God, where's that? What is running? You mean there's personal time? What is personal time? Life
right?
has been turned upside down 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Something is going on.
It is.
Yes.
It is. So, like, what do you like? We want to kind of know more about you as a
Sure.
person.
Go for it.
All
Mhm.
right. So, like, what do you do for fun? Like, are you married? Do you have kids? Do
Yes, sure. So my husband, his name is Alex. He's a scientist as well. We met in a lab. I was doing my PhD. He was doing his postdoc. My husband is originally from Germany. And so
Oh, cool.
yeah, and I really enjoy how he brings his own experiences to our marriage, to our family.
Hmm.
So Christmas, for example, is like a 6-week celebration.
Hmm.
I kid you not. Like, it starts December 1st and keeps going because there's after Christmas, there's uh, Three Kings Day or January 6th. So it just keeps going, and there's so much going on. So we are, and then we have 2 birthdays
Hmm.
or 3 birthdays in January. So the celebration keeps continuing.
You have like a 3 month Christmas, is what you're saying.
Yes. That's my life. And
What?
I love trees. I'm a
Hmm.
gardener.
Hmm.
So the one decision that was a very good decision for both of us, he loves Christmas trees, and I don't want to cut down a tree. So we buy live Christmas trees
Uh huh.
and we leave it on our porch and just bring it in for a few days because you can't have them in such a warm climate for a long time. So
Hmm.
we decorated, we have our Christmas tree, but then it goes back on the porch. And in the spring, I get to plant a new tree. So our garden is filled up with different years of Christmas trees.
That is so awesome. I never even
Yeah.
thought of that, and it's so, like, self-sustaining in a way.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
And we
yeah.
love it. So therefore it just works out for us.
Now, out of curiosity, like, you said your husband's from Germany, from him being from another country, like, looking at the United States as a whole, I mean, I bet his perceptions of how we do things is interesting, to say the least.
He's been here long enough that I mean, he's never paid taxes in Germany, for example.
Mhm,
He always says, "I wouldn't even know what to do if I had to get a job in Germany," but he's an American, but, his mom is still there, his, sister
mhm.
and, other extended family are there, so we try to go to Germany once a year, and, but not to go dark yet, we'll go dark later in the interview, but the fascism that we're seeing here
Mhm.
because of his decades of education in what
Right.
happened during the Nazi era, he keeps warning us, guys, this all hands on deck. This is not a time to take a back seat and think, oh, we can protect our democracy, our institutions will protect it. One by one, the institutions are being challenged, and they're not staying up to they're unable to fight Donald Trump. Some of them are deliberately not fighting, like, for example, the opposition party, quote
Mhm.
unquote, because where's Chuck Schumer? Where's Jeffries? But also the institutions like the judicial system, some of them, of course, like the Supreme Court, is absolutely not acting in a nonpartisan way. But even the lower courts are really being impacted.
Yeah.
So we'll go dark a little later. But
Yeah.
oh, a bird of prey just passed by my window. Wow, I don't know what it was.
It
I
was an
just
omen. It's an omen. Thank you.
Oh, is it an omen?
It's an
Yes.
omen. It's an omen. We're just gonna go with that.
I love it.
So now,
Um,
now let's talk about your personal life
oh,
for a second.
and I do have we have 2 children.
Oh,
My
yeah.
daughter is a 20-year-old college student, and our son is a 16-year-old high school student.
Now, does your husband have to, like, stop and wrangle you back? Because, I mean, you're putting up a big fight. I mean, you're basically fighting the establishment. You're fighting the Democratic Party along with the Republican Party. It's a lot to take in.
And
So,
more profiteers
profiteers.
and big oil, big tech, uh, crypto.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is what we're doing. You guys have to understand what we're doing is huge. We're basically saying the establishment, the status quo sucks. We need to rebuild the whole system. We need to challenge these institutions that over and over have told us that they are taking care of us. Many times they didn't, that they're going to protect us. They're
They're not.
failing. So, exactly.
Yeah, and it's become more of a fraternity in New Hampshire than it is the Democratic Party, and that's one of the reasons why I left back in 2021, because I didn't feel heard.
Mhm.
And everybody has an agenda. Everybody's pushing something that they're trying to sell, and it becomes more of a. It feels more like an infomercial instead of. But listen to me. So that's one of the reasons why I left. Um, I didn't feel heard. I didn't feel seen, and they have a way of turning their back on you when you need them the
Yeah.
most.
But Gracie, I would say that for both parties in New Hampshire, the
Yeah,
Democratic Party as well as the Republican Party. So the base is still good. These are good people. It doesn't matter whether they're
yeah.
Republican or
We're not
Democrat.
talking about voters. We're talking
Yes,
about
voters are good
no.
people. These people want a good job. They want a livable wage. They want to have health care. They want good schools for their children. They
Mhm.
want to come home and relax. And in the morning, they want to have breakfast on their table. These are honest to God, good people who just want to survive in peace and prosperity. But the leadership is just so corrupt. And in New Hampshire, we have the political dynasties. What is that? Political dynasties should not exist in a democracy. So are we a democratic state or are we not a democratic state? Like there's a 5 or 6 names. We keep recycling them year after year. Governorship, senator, representative, whatever. I mean, there are just a few names.
But do you wonder
Mother,
why?
father, sister, brother. Like what? What is that? Is not democracy.
Yeah, like the Shaheens and it's
And
sort
the
of like legacy.
Sununos.
Yeah, the legacy families that seem to
Yes.
just kind of but the one thing they do have in common though, and this is where I'm gonna get into the coffee talk, is, they're all APAC.
Yes. I
It
don't know about every single person. At least our 2 senators and our 2 representatives are APAC funded. Yes.
and,
I don't
good
know
senator.
about the Republican side. I haven't looked up Scott Brown and John Sununu or Chris Sununu. I actually don't know. It's
I could check
possible.
I could check APAC tracker,
Yeah.
but I know that all of the higher ups and, the New Hampshire government they're all APAC
Mhm.
recipients.
I see. Okay.
So
Mhm.
Chris Pappas is another notorious APAC, and, when you have the
Oh,
hypocrisy.
do we want to say what APAC is for anyone who's listening and may not know?
APAC is a or do no, actually, let's let you take the stage. This is your
So
platform.
APAC is AIPAC. That stands for American Israel Public Affairs Committee. Sounds very harmless,
Mhm,
but they raise money and they basically influence the elections and decide which candidates to support and which candidates to uh, go against.
mhm.
And that's really based on, oh my God, the bird of prey went out. Oh my God, what is it? It's so beautiful. I'm
But
so sorry.
no, no, no,
I have to
it's great.
stay focused. There's an interview
Like,
going on, and I'm
just
staring outside my
wait,
window at the bird of prey.
you're like, "Squirrel!"
Oh, there might be maybe that's why he's out there or she. Anyways, APAC is heavily influencing our elections. This should be a concern regardless of your political ideology, regardless of your political affiliation,
Mhm,
because they basically make sure the candidates that they support will go to Congress and vote for weapons or vote for military aid and other packages for Israel.
mhm,
So APAC should register under FARA, which stands for Foreign Agent Registration Act. And they are not registered under FARAs because they might be American citizens,
mhm,
but they're working on behalf of a foreign government.
mhm,
Again, regardless of your political ideology, you should care that billions of your taxpayer dollars are being spent and sent for weapons and aid to a very rich country. Israel is a rich country.
yeah,
They have universal health care. We don't. Their education is extremely well funded. Their public
Paid for
university,
by American taxpayers.
yes. So our kids are paying, taking out loans to pay for college or other types of
There was a
higher education. And over in Israel, it's pittance. It's so well funded. And again, they have universal health coverage. We don't. What else? They have livable wages. We don't. Many of those settlers in West Bank, they are heavily subsidized. Their apartments, their travel, their income is heavily subsidized to
Mhm.
encourage them to live in the
But
West Bank. Yeah. And so we should all be concerned. And that's your money
mhm.
and my money. So
And, it's hard to make money, and then having to part with it to a foreign government should piss you off.
it should definitely piss you off.
Yep.
And let's look at some of the numbers right here in the United States. 42 million Americans don't have enough to eat.
Mhm.
1 out of 6 Americans don't have enough to eat. How is this possible in the richest country in the world? Just think about that number for a second. And why? Because too many lawmakers are answering to their donors and not to the people. Billions should be spent feeding our kids, helping our families, not sending it for war overseas. Um,
Uh, Karishma, I have
yeah,
a
go
question
for it.
for you. I have a question for you. So, like, obviously, we said that the Democrat voters and the Republican voters are sort of like the children in the middle of a divorce, where they're not extreme right, they're not extreme left. The middle of the road voters are just sort of with their hands up in the air. How are you going to attract those voters, the ones that are a bit disenfranchised of the awakening of this Epstein files blow up with Donald Trump and whatnot? How are you going to reach across the aisle and possibly pick up those voters who are not necessarily fond of Donald Trump now? I guess the MAGA group is splitting. How do we bridge that gap? What's your plan?
Yeah. So let me say it again. Uh, r- Most folks really just want to live in peace. They
Mhm,
want to spend time with their families. And if anyone is ill, they want to have access to their doctor. They just want to have food on the table, really not asking for much, right? Just
mhm.
peace and prosperity. Both the Democratic Party establishment, I just want to be very clear. When I talk about the Democratic Party establishment, I'm talking about like Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer
We're
and
not talking about the person at Market
usually
Basket. We're not talking about
no,
any of those people.
no.
The
Or
regular
you, I
Jane.
know you left the party. I am a, is there a card carrying member? I mean, there's no card, but like
No,
I'm a Democrat. I'm
there
not
should be a Kinsey scale. There should be like a Kinsey scale of how Democrat are you? And a
so I'm talking
Republican
about
scale.
like that, yeah,
Yeah.
that corrupt top leadership. Okay.
Yeah.
So the Democratic leadership and the Republican leadership, what they do is they try to divide the population. So what do
Mhm,
they say? The Democrats say, "Oh, we're for women's rights, we're for, say, some other rights," and they drag us to one side. And then the Republicans might say, we are for gun rights or we are for parents' rights, and they drag us to the other side. So we are thinking, oh, there's this voter versus that voter. Like we're being divided by some sort of a identity or ideology.
mhm.
But those leadership, they're completely aligned most of the time on socioeconomic issues and foreign policy.
But they
So
just get tripped up with
they
the
make
title.
us hate each other. They make us think less of each other while they're actually okay. There are a lot of good lawmakers out there, but the majority are not answering to the donor. Sorry,
Karishma
to the people. Wait.
Karishma oh, go ahead. Finish your point, I'm sorry.
So the socioeconomic one example is the minimum wage. The federal minimum wage has been stuck at $7.25 an hour since 2009.
Good.
2009. States like New Hampshire, we don't have a state minimum wage. So we basically default to the federal minimum wage. So if the federal minimum wage stuck at 7.25, that means our state has a minimum wage of 7.25. All around us, all the other New England states, they're 14, 15, $16 an hour. So this is not a livable wage. This is a starvation wage. We
Yeah.
need at least the minimum wage in New Hampshire needs to be at least $20.
Mhm.
And so one of the things that I want to do when I get to the United States Senate is to make sure that the federal minimum wage increases to at least 20. So states like New Hampshire which again does not have a state minimum wage, will
Mhm.
default to that federal minimum wage. So
Yeah.
this is where the socioeconomic wise they match up. The Democratic establishment, the Republican establishment match up because they're not answering to the people. They don't care about these low wages. And a good example of this is the fact that in 2021, President Biden tried to increase the minimum wage from $7.25 to $15 an hour. Both Senator Shaheen and Senator Hassan voted against it.
Mm.
It shows you they're answering to the same donors and the same lobbying group.
Yeah.
And foreign policy wise, let's take one example, the genocide of Palestinians.
Mhm.
I don't see much of a difference between the Democratic establishment or the Republican establishment. Both
Exactly.
of them are perpetrating that genocide.
Karishma, forgive me, but I think you're brilliant. But
I really
I
know.
yeah, but I think that MAGA is not going to vote Democrat, like just on principle. And I think,
Well, look at, I want people to think of me as, and I know decades and decades of being hampered. A Democrat is blah, blah, blah. A Republican is
yeah,
blah, blah, blah. Cut through that noise, my friends. Just cut through that noise. Think of who I am as a
mhm,
person.
mhm,
I'm just a regular person. For years and years, I just saw that the system was failing the folks on the ground. Here in my town of Exeter, there are people who live in their cars. They're homeless.
yeah,
How is that possible?
the state failed them.
The whole society failed them. And
Mhm.
these people, many of them have jobs. So across the state, you see folks on the streets of Manchester and Concord and Nashua. In Epping, in the Seacoast region, we have folks sleeping in their cars in um, these commuter parking lots.
Yeah,
What do? They put up a towel or a t-shirt to block off their windows. How
it's
heartbreaking is that? And it doesn't matter, again, whether you are left or right or blue
yeah,
or red.
we all bleed the
That
same.
is unacceptable,
Mhm,
absolutely unacceptable.
mhm.
And why? Because many of them have jobs, but these are not livable wages. They sometimes have, they might be working at Walmart, they might be working at McDonald's. So
Yeah,
while these companies are making billions in profits, their workers are being given starvation wages. This is exploitation. I'm talking about workers being exploited.
mhm.
It is not a red problem or a blue problem, my friends. This is an American problem. And we need to talk about it and we need to talk about how to solve it.
Yeah,
So, for example, with this kind of wage, we need to increase the wage. We
mhm.
absolutely need to increase the wage.
That was frightening. Let's get into the darker stuff now with the
Oh,
ICE
okay.
facilities in Merrimack. Um, I do see parallels to what's going on in Gaza, and I've said it on social media before that we're all Palestinians now. We're under a police state. What are the
There's a
chances of
car
getting?
snow being cleaned. Do you get,
That's
is it
fine.
too loud? Okay, you can hear me?
I can
Okay.
hear you fine. Yeah. So a lot of people might say it's alarmist to say that's not going to happen. It's already happening. Once white people start getting shot in public, we got a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like when it's people of color, you know, we rally and whatnot, but it just seems like they're just after everybody at this point. It's not just a black or brown problem anymore. White people are getting shot in the daylight now. And
Yeah. So
good.
Gracie, I want to make 2 points about that. So
Yeah.
you brought up Merrimack and you talked about I guess the images that are coming out of Minneapolis.
Yeah.
So let's just first talk about what's going on right here in our state.
Okay.
So they're planning to convert a existing warehouse and a lot that is owned by someone in Texas, but they own this large property in Merrimack. And
Mhm.
this person, this Texan, is I guess negotiating with the DHS to convert that warehouse into an ICE detention center. So this is what's going on in Merrimack.
Mhm.
In Rockingham County, there was a contract that the Rockingham County commissioners were reviewing from DHS, DHS's Department of Homeland Security,
Mhm.
to convert, to basically use the county jails to house ICE detainees.
Mhm.
All right. So these are the two big stories in New Hampshire right now. What happened in the Rockingham County? People came out, the residents came out.
Mhm.
They went to many of these commissioner meetings. They wrote letters, they made phone calls. And yesterday, the commissioners at the commissioners meeting, they decided they're going to shelve it and they're not proceeding. Win. Talk about a win. That's a
Mhm.
victory. That is a people's victory.
Mhm.
People came out. said, not in our backyard,
Mhm.
not, we are not going to see this cruelty. So this is one thing. And Merrimack, they're doing a great job. Many people from across the state are trying to help the Merrimack town. And we should just keep up that pressure because the only issue, of course, is the fact that this is a privately owned land owned by a Texan who's not even here. So, and he's I guess, I don't know what his ideology is, but basically, so we need to absolutely focus now on Merrimack. Now let's talk about what's going on in Minneapolis. If anyone thinks it's about immigration or immigrants or crime, please, I have a bridge to sell you. This is not about that. This is another way Donald Trump is basically dismantling our institutions and changing the laws to make us hate each other, make us fear each other, taking away due process, and just trying to grab people off the streets. So first he said these were going to be these criminal gang members who are illegally in the United States. So this was the first level of rhetoric.
Mhm.
Then was anyone who has entered the US illegally, which I understand. Yes, it's a crime, but it's a civil crime, not a criminal crime.
Right.
Doesn't fall under the criminal statute. Okay. Um, but a lot of these folks are in the United States legally, for example, under a program called Temporary Protection Status, TPS.
Mhm.
And by the stroke of a pen, Donald Trump made these groups of people who have different types of TPS protection
Mhm.
suddenly become illegal. So one day they're working in the United States legally, they are living in the United States legally.
Mhm.
The stroke of a pen, he says, no longer is this going to be, they don't have that status anymore, and suddenly you've turned them into illegals. And then, of course, the word illegal in people's minds means, they're thinking criminals, public safety. And I understand if anyone breaks the law, they can be, you have to get a warrant for their arrest, go through the due process, go through the court system, prosecute, convict. Absolutely.
Mhm.
But you cannot one day decide with the stroke of a pen that somebody's illegal and then send in like this paramilitary force to grab them off the streets. And anyone who potentially, uh, uh, by the color of their skin or the accents, and start grabbing people. So this is not about immigration. This is about controlling us. And why is he doing, the images that are coming out is that, places like Baghdad or Baghdad, whatever,
Baghdad.
Baghdad or
Mhm.
Afghanistan. I mean, they look like military. These
Yeah.
are, they're dressed in combat
Gear,
clothes.
yeah.
Yes, they have helmets, night
Mhm.
vision goggles, masks, guns with silencers, scopes.
And a lot of them are not even trained. The
And of course,
eyewitness
they're not even trained, and we don't even know who they are. Could they have a criminal background? Were they part of the January 6th insurrection? We
or
need
just
to.
white supremacists. I mean, I saw a picture of someone with the, lightning bolts on the side of their neck. It was an ICE agent.
I don't know
Um,
what does that mean?
um, the
Um,
the Nazi, like, white
Oh,
supremacy, yeah, and, I saw this one, picture where it was an agent, an ICE agent, and he had the, white supremacy tattoo on his
mm.
neck. So, yeah, there's a huge problem, but it's like, how do we unite? How do we change the tide? How do we unite as a country? Because I think we're all being traumatized by the Trump presidency in some way, shape, or form, and I don't understand how you could still be a fan of Donald Trump at this juncture. Um,
So I would ask people, please, please follow the Constitution. Don't allow Donald Trump to trample on the Constitution, which he is doing. For example, due process is protected in the Constitution for anyone. It's guaranteed in the Constitution for any persons in the United States within the boundaries of this country. It doesn't matter whether you're a citizen or non-citizen. Due process is guaranteed under the Constitution. Do not allow people like Donald Trump to basically trample on the Constitution. And this, so I want to say, Laken Riley Act. This is a act that a lot of people understand, but a lot of people don't. So Laken Riley was a young nursing student, and she was brutally murdered. Heinous crime. The man who murdered Laken Riley had entered the United States illegally. He was captured, he was prosecuted, and he's now serving life in jail.
Yeah.
This was a terrible tragedy, devastating for Laken Riley's family. The GOP decided to use this tragedy to basically say that anyone who has entered the country illegally does not deserve due process. They can be grabbed without a warrant, detained without any kind of due process, and shipped out of the country. So, and that Laken Riley Act, even the family of Laken Riley wanted the GOP to not use Laken's name.
Ooh.
Act, because they knew that this tragedy was being politicized.
Mm-hmm.
It passed the House, it passed the Senate, and Chris Pappas voted for the Laken Riley Act. He voted against due process.
Mm-hmm.
People should understand this. Chris Pappas is not talking about, oh, ICE is violating due process. You are one of the reasons ICE is violating due process. You empowered ICE with your vote, with your shameless vote.
I'm sorry, but this is my personal opinion of Chris Pappas. He is a meat suit. He will do anything that his handlers will tell him to do. There is nothing there. I've asked him direct questions myself, and I got blocked or just no response. Like I asked him about his
He doesn't answer to you or to any one of us.
anybody except for his handlers, his APAC handlers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it's terrible. It's terrible because when we elect our officials, we expect them to do a job, and that's their civic duty, and not to answer to a foreign government.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind when you're voting, guys. Who are you voting for?
Exactly. And then Trump signed it into law, and that is one of the reasons what ICE is doing. They're just going around asking people, show us your ID. How many people walk around with their passport? I mean, nobody. What are we now, a police state? I mean,
we are.
now
We
if
are.
I go for a walk, I have to walk around with my passport. I mean, that's completely mad. It doesn't matter, my friends, if you're Republican or a Democrat or independent, just think about what that means. Do you, whether you're white or brown or whatever color God made you, if you're walking out on the street, are you okay with random people coming up to you armed, heavily armed, and asking you to produce an ID showing that you're a citizen? Is that normal? It is not.
It's not. No,
It is not. And don't be fooled by saying, oh, I was born in the United States or I'm a white-skinned person. Think about it. Then you're basically saying anyone of a certain color can be targeted. Anyone with an accent can be targeted. That's not America, my friends. This is exactly what happened in 1930s Germany. Whereas the Nazis went after the Romas, they were the gypsies, the Jewish population. And everyone's like, well, I'm not Roma, so it doesn't affect me. I'm not Jewish, it doesn't impact me.
Mm-hmm.
Then as he became more and more powerful, he started to go after the labor unions. He dismantled the labor unions because Hitler knew that the labor unions were a strong progressive force that was going to fight against the Nazis.
And he also got rid of the disabled people as well. They were the
disabled people. Yeah, they were sent to the concentration camps. Yes, absolutely.
Whoever was going to be a drain on the economy, basically.
Yes, and then it just kept more and more people started to become part of his target. Then any kind of priest who spoke out against Hitler. Then any citizens many white German Christian citizens were hanged or sent to a firing squad or to the concentration camps. So don't be fooled when you see Donald Trump, what he's doing.
Then we see the ICE facilities popping up.
Yes. So
read the tea leaves here, people. It's not hard. It's not hard. And let's get to MAGA for a moment. There's a lot of people that still defend him 100%. And
Donald Trump is, if that man knows how to lie, that man knows how to manipulate. It is really, when you become when you listen to him, it's because he uses some bits and pieces.
Oh, he's very media savvy, though.
He's media savvy and he's very manipulative.
Yeah.
So, and I completely understand it's very hard. But let's see. this is how every single person should have their North Star. Follow the Constitution, number one. Follow humanitarian laws. Number two, follow American US laws, federal and local laws. Follow international laws. And then you will make sure you are going to be on the right side of history.
Even the Nazis in Nazi Germany, the citizens thought they were being patriots.
Yeah, they
That's
did.
what's hard. That's what's so hard is
And
to
that's the thing. Those kinds of leaders don't just get there because, they can be very charismatic. I mean, Hitler, when he would give his speeches, people would get all rallied up. Oh my God, he's speaking about us. He's going to empower us.
mm,
They're the us versus them. The thems have to
mhm.
be jailed. The thems have to be,
Until the thems become you, and then you're
and
screwed.
then sometimes it becomes you are
Mhm.
part of the thems.
It's like
Yes.
all of a
Once you
sudden,
start, mhm.
yeah, it's like all brunettes need to
Yes.
die, and then I guess you and I are gonna be gone, right?
Gracie, give me an idea about the time. I wanted to say one more thing about war
Yeah,
crimes.
yeah, yeah, go ahead, because I wanted to get into Gaza, but go on.
Uh, well, okay. I'm not sure how you're going to ask me about Gaza, but any kind of war crimes
Mhm,
or crimes against humanity or genocide
mhm,
or w- people have been studying the Holocaust to understand how can a human be so cruel towards another human and why do the societal norms fall apart?
mhm.
How can not we're not talking about one murder. We're talking millions of people being murdered systematically year after year. How is that possible? So the genocide studies, the Holocaust studies have shown us that there are 4 or 5 key roles people play from the society. One is perpetrators. So
Mhm.
that would be like Hitler or
Hi
Goering, or
high
those leaders.
high-level governments.
High level. They're the ones who are ordering, they're the ones who are deciding on how things are going to happen.
Mhm,
And then if you want to think of the genocide in Palestine, so the perpetrator would be like Netanyahu, Ben-Gvir, Smotrich.
mhm.
And also from the American side, the ones who are perpetrating the genocide and partnering with Netanyahu would be Joe Biden and Donald Trump. And of course, there are many more perpetrators. But so the word perpetrators, you have to understand it. The next is enablers. So these are folks who are not necessarily playing a leading role, but they're supporting the perpetrators. They can be in the Nazi Germany, some of them were church leaders until they turned around and then they were sent to concentration camps or hanged.
Yeah, the first to die were Catholic priests, if I remember correctly.
A lot of folks
Yeah,
knew right away that it was wrong, but a lot of folks, again, thought maybe it's not me, it's them. And so they were like, yeah, maybe I'll partner with the Nazi Germany. It didn't go too well.
yeah.
So these enablers might have been church leaders, scholars, journalists,
Hey, even the Von
business
Trapps
people.
even the Von Trapp for The Sound of Music were
Oh, yeah.
anti-fascists. Okay? Watch The Sound of Music.
Yeah.
Go on, I'm sorry. Sorry, I had to
No,
interrupt.
no, it's enablers. Right now, the genocide on the Palestinians,
Mhm.
we have Americans who are enabling the perpetrators. So those would be members of Congress who are constantly approving billions of dollars of weapons transfers to Israel. So like Chris Pappas is an enabler of a genocide.
Thank you.
Another category is bystanders, people who know but decide to look away.
Cowardly.
That is a
Courage,
large group of people.
you
Like,
know?
oh, I know, but
It's a way over there. It doesn't
we
have
were
anything to do with
there, it's really, oh, I'm more concerned about this. That's a bystander.
and then what do we do with those people who call us anti-Semites?
No,
That's a
wait.
whole
The
oh, sorry.
fourth level are the resistors.
Mhm,
These are the people who are saying no, no no to war crimes. They're saying
mhm.
no to crimes against humanity. They're saying no to genocide. They're saying no to concentration camps. These are the resistors. And of course, we saw in France the French resistance that grew
Mhm.
up against the Nazi Germany. Then, of course, the
The
American
Orthodox.
soldiers who were sent over to fight the Nazi Germany, those were resistors. Many gave up their lives. Many were injured to fight fascism on foreign soil. And 80 years later, now we're looking
We're
at
here.
fascism on our own soil.
World War
And
II.
so, and in our case, with the ongoing genocide, because right now history is being written, right? Every day history is being written.
Mhm.
Think about when history is being written about what's going on in the United States with fascism, rise of fascism, what's going on with ISIS criminal activity, what's going on with the genocide of the Palestinians. When history is written, where are you going to be? Are you going to be a perpetrator, an enabler, a bystander, or are you going to be a resistor? And resistor means you say no. That means you go protest. You write letters to the editors. You educate your community. You tell your senators and your representatives that their votes are unacceptable. You rise up
But
and
in a
you
respectful way.
challenge the system.
Yeah.
So after years and years of just seeing that here in New Hampshire, our representatives and our senators and these leaders were failing us to increase our minimum wage, to give us universal health care, to fail us in so many ways, and then use billions of dollars to fuel a genocide, I said enough is enough. And that's why I'm a resistor. I'm a peace activist. I'm a resistor, and I'm running for the United States Senate.
Thank
That's
you. Thank you. And thank you for joining us today, Karishma. You are an inspiration. And I hope that the other activists out there who are listening, who are in the younger demographic, we need more articulate leaders. And you're definitely articulate. Thank you, Karishma, for your time.
Thank you, Gracie.